What's up, everybody? Anthony Blake back with you. Flawless Fantasy Football. Back with another episode, Flawless Fantasy Football. We're going to talk about mid to late round league winners, running back edition. Okay? Got the running back gear on real quick, so we got to rep that. So, this is what we're going to talk about in this episode. I'm going to give you 5, maybe a bonus at the end. I'm going to give you 5 mid to late round running backs for fantasy 2021. Some of these guys you may have heard of, some of them you may not. First, let me explain to you what a league winner is to me. Because I kind of just shake my head and roll my eyes when I hear the industry say something about league winners. Oh, this person was a league winner, that person was a league winner. Listen, if a first or second or third rounder does what they're supposed to do, you're drafting them to be good. You're drafting them to be great. So guess what? If they meet that expectation, they're not a league winner. Someone in the 5th, 7th, 13th round end up putting up production, especially during playoff season or during the one of the most important pushes in fantasy football time. That really most people, the industry they don't uplift. They don't put as an importance as the playoff time. Because some people are pretty much pedestrian. But let's say, for instance, David Montgomery. He had a slow first half. Slow 60% of the season. But boom, he popped off. He was like the number 1 or number 2 running back, for the last 40% of the season and end up running back 4. That's league winning type material, especially when people don't roach you for dead. But nevertheless, let's jump into it. Number 1, most of you probably already heard of him already. Javonte Williams. Okay? Rookie running back, Denver Broncos. Hey, listen, the only competition he has over there is Melvin Gordon. Yes, true, Melvin Gordon will start. But, again, when you use my moniker, always go back to, have we seen the best of them? And we've seen the best of Melvin Gordon. He's not explosive. He's just a name. He's a middling running back too. Okay? No Philip Lindsay there because guess what? They promoted him. They knew they were going to draft him. They even drafted up to get him. If they didn't get him, they'd get somewhere else because they're not sold with Melvin Gordon. This guy once he gets the bell cow roll, and he won't just go out there and outproduce him, I feel. It'll be by way of injury. But when you get old and brittle, like Melvin Gordon is, and inefficient, and not a young bull anymore, injuries tend to happen. Now listen, I'm not wishing injury on anybody, but people need to understand, because I don't come on here crying and people here. Injuries are part of the game. Injuries to running backs more especially. If you have any type of eyes, like I do, and mine aren't the best. Cam Akers, Travis Etienne, and J.K. Dobbins proved that this offseason. Running back is important. That's why I implore in your draft to make sure you have a strong amount of them. Either you get them on the front end or get them on the back end, but you need to get them. Javonte Williams will be a beast and will be a league winner when it happens. Not if, when. Number 2. Trey Sermon. Yeah, Trey Sermon. We've been on this before. There will come a time, yeah, sure, he's sharing the load right now, Raheem Mostert. Got that little, but he will get significant time week 1 against Detroit, in which I anticipate San Francisco beating the brakes off him. And he may even score, so Trey Sermon will be a league winner because Mostert can't stay healthy, and once his Trey Sermons is Trey Sermons until Trey Sermon decides he doesn't want it anymore. Simple and plain, Trey Sermon. And he's going about, mind you, Javonte Williams is going about the 6th round. I'm going to put 6 right here. Early 6th round. And Trey Sermon is going round about 7.5. So I'm just put a 7 here. Okay? I don't want to get too confusing. I'll put a 6 here and a 7 here. So Javonte Williams going early 6th. Trey Sermon going anywhere from early 7th to mid 7th. Okay. Now when I say that, that means in expert drafts and normal ADPs. But in your draft, hell, if you got somebody willing to reach on it, they might get them in the 5th. So you just can't go off these ADPs. I went in a draft that where a couple players went earlier than I thought they would go. But come to find out, people thought that James Robinson and Montgomery were going to be there in the 3rd round or be there a round later, but actually somebody else would have picked them before the person actually did. So really, was it a reach? Because had he waited 1 round, he wouldn't have ever got him. Because I go by, hey, if a person's won't make it back to you, it's not a reach. People don't understand that. They think they gotta pick things when the ADP or when the consensus tells them to. But no, you want your player, go get them, and go get these players. Number 3, you're gonna go with AJ Dillon. Second, he's back up to Aaron Jones in Green Bay, and dude's a monster. He's going to probably round about around 7.5. He's going just a little bit after Trey Sermon. Trey Sermon. But look, he's going to have standalone value. All these guys are going to have standalone value because they're going to play and get significant time. But after, if anything happened to Aaron Jones, this guy's demonstrated from last year. He had a 100-yard game and 2 touchdowns against Tennessee Week 16. That he can do it. He had a kind of a little slow, rough preseason. Couldn't punch it in off the goal line. Every once in a while, somebody's going to get stuffed. It's just that simple. The teams are going to let somebody be like, hey, somebody else got to beat me. This ain't going to happen. So I wouldn't get discouraged. A.J. Dillon's going to be a monster. You get him in the 7th and something has to happen to Aaron Jones, obviously you didn't pick him as a starter, so you plug him in as your flex, not some pansy wide receiver, because I don't promote putting wide receivers in flexes. Granted, if you're going to be in a PPR and you got a decent one, fine, but I don't see no wide receiver that's in flex territory that should be able to outflex A.J. Dillon if he's starting. I don't give a damn if he don't catch one pass. He'll have 20-some totes with 100 yards and most likely a touchdown. A PPR guy can't see that. All right. So you probably most heard of these 3 running backs. If you have any type of fantasy eye or fantasy ear, you probably have. So we're going to go with some other guys that maybe you just heard of once or twice. All right, here we go. Number 4. Oh, yeah. Ramondre Stevenson. Yeah. Ramondre Stevenson from Patriots. Did you all hear that Sony Michel got traded to the Rams? Of course you did. You're wise enough to know that. You want to know why? Because he stood out so freaking much. Now if you look at the depth chart, it's going to have him 3rd on the depth chart. But if you know anything about football and fantasy, they have James White 2nd on the depth chart behind the starter. But guess what? He's really 2nd because Damian Harris is the number 1, but White's not a bell cow. So if anything happened to Damian Harris, Ramondre Stevenson would be the first, 2nd down, and goal line back. He runs hard. I think the guy scored like 3 touchdowns, maybe 4 in the preseason. Maybe 4, but I know he scored like 3. He's hungry. He's shown them that he can be ready. If you ask me, I want to be invested in the stock in Damian Harris because he missed the first 3 games of last year. I believe 1 in the middle. In the last 3, he missed like 6 games. So yeah, I would just basically pick him, and basically he's going undrafted. So if you got 15 rounds, unless you got a deep draft, like one of my leagues are, you draft 20 for 21 rounds, but IDPs are in there as well. In which I need to talk to you all about that draft because we're in the 10th round, and I want to update you on how I'm doing. It's a slow live draft. It's been going for like a week, so and I'll let you know my progress in that. Ramondre Stevenson, he's basically going undrafted. I'm just going to put an asterisk here. Asterisk means going undrafted. Going undrafted. Now, just because he's going undrafted doesn't mean that you have to not draft him. Because guess what? If you don't draft him either, and then something happens to Harris, now people got to rush to the waiver wire or put in their bids or whatever type of system they use for free agency, you might not get him. So I'd rather take a flyer on a running back than take a damn flyer on a pansy. I ain't gonna say a pansy. Not unless you're talking about one of my wide receivers. You know what I'm saying, or whatever, which is my second video. I'm dropping 2 today. All right. And number 5. I'm sorry. This is big too. Going undrafted. And look, I don't necessarily care for the dude, but he's in a perfect opportunity. Jared McKinnon for Kansas City Chiefs. You know, he's 3rd on the depth chart, obviously behind Clyde Edwards-Helaire. But, you know, at the end of the day, they also have Darrell Williams there. And if you look at Darrell Williams, he's more like a bruiser. He's not like a CEH. He's not like a Brian Westbrook. When I say why Brian Westbrook, because that's what type of player Andy Reid likes. He's not like that. Jared McKinnon is. So he's like a short type of guy trying to shifty and stuff like that, and that can catch and is great at a receiving game. So if anything happens to CEH, and plus Jared McKinnon looked decent during preseason. I would say he looked good. I'm not going to say he looked decent. He looked good, actually. So if anything happens to CEH, I believe he'll have majority of the work. They will split. But basically from the draft capital that you'll put on Jared McKinnon, you'll be able to put him in as a flex and get a lot of value from him in that Kansas City offense. Jared McKinnon is somebody you can consider. So, number 6. All right, long shot. And man, nobody ain't never told you this. And I sit strong with this because I don't anticipate. Listen, don't get mad. This is just my opinion, my expertise. That's it. My gut. Not my gut, but my gut. Up in here. All right. Okay. Let's just clarify guts. Number 6. Here's your bonus. Tony Jones Jr. Who the hell is Tony Jones Jr.? Who is Tony Jones Jr., you all say? Well, actually, let me tell you. Thanks for asking. Tony Jones Jr. is the backup in New Orleans. Okay? He's currently the 3rd stringer, but he's been shining so much and outproducing Latavius Murray, but they haven't put it on the depth chart yet. Everybody knows what Latavius Murray is, okay? Now, people are expecting Kamara to shoulder all this workload. And if we've already know that Kamara ain't built like that, you know what I'm saying? So if anything happens to him, guess who then gets slotted in? Okay? All right? Not Latavius Murray. All right? So he's been getting a little buzz, but not enough buzz to where the fantasy community knows about it. But guess what? Flawless fantasy football doesn't miss at things, okay? All right. So there you go. Javonte Williams, Trey Sermon, A.J. Dillon, Ramondre Stevenson, Jerry McKinnon, and Tony Jones Jr. If you hear from a surprise cut, you might hear a surprise cut from Latavius Murray. Don't be surprised. Keep them on your radar. All right? There are your 6 mid to late round league winners. You don't see any 1st, 2nd, or 3rd, or 4th round players up here, or even 5th. Because these are people that if they hit, they will make instantly make any fantasy roster that much better for where they're being picked at. All right. So thanks for watching, and I try not to keep it too long, and keep those names in mind. Screenshot. Let's make it happen. Flawless Fantasy Football. Peace out.